knowing you, throughout the years, there is this. And very rarely do people. The ego is always removed with you. I've never seen fusion operating. There's a sense of acceptance of every circumstance, everyone, and everything. You kind of have the intuition of going with the flow, but also working with the nuances of a situation or behaviour of a person. You. It's quite stoic.
That's interesting. This guy, I'm gonna just pause and just say I'm really excited for your growth as a host. I've seen you go through many different iterations. At the moment, on the way here, mad, but it sums it up for me because I would rewrite what you said because I'm updating my version of me every time I feel a need to. So I've been a journalist, I think Rakim had that lyric about a journalist, a journal and sink into the page like I was ink. So for me, the DJ moves the crowd with no words sometimes, it's just sound. The journalist moves minds without words said, just written. So I was always moving people without having to speak. But I realized at a certain point, if I never spoke, was I ever heard?
Killa Kela podcast. KillaKelaOfficial.com.
Street Culture TV.
Beatbox created.
Killa Kela.
And we're here to talk about world music and street culture.
Killa Kela podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, Killa Kela podcast, live and direct, central London, as central as you need to be. You don't want to be anywhere else. Believe that. Big shout out to all the shares and carers, people that are subscribing and getting involved, getting in the mix and all the bits, and we appreciate you. Okay, people, our sponsors, the mighty GK Nifty Heads, have 10,000 play-to-earn GraffPunks NFTs to give away. Get ready as London's white trash goes blockchain digital with Bitcoin Cash tokens locked into them to claim. Get yourselves over to the website gkniftyheads.com and play to earn now. Inside the house, a old friend of mine, rising from my ashes in my mind.
Phoenix, rising.
And we're talking about legacy artist here. Producer. Oh God, don't even get me started on the Groundbreaker and Falacy Fusion. Coupled with his hosting skills, and the T-Max and the man himself, and just an overall conductor, inspiration and coordinator of all things from the ground up of youth organisations to the more current state of play with new projects, currently super organic, big up Porge One, and a whole heap of other things. We're going to talk to the man himself, Fusion. God,
with a big boy intro, you know that. Might have to just edit that little piece and put that on a website.
It's just too much.
Man, Killa. You know what? That's why we need AI just to condense all of that and just say boom. For me, I'm active. I'm alive in the culture.
Yeah.
I come from a place. I'm in a place, and I'm taking the culture forward, and I feel excited. So the Phoenix reference is relevant, bro.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, the Phoenix rising.
Yeah.
And there ain't enough characters like you. You'll probably contradict me on that, but there most definitely is a lane in which you have to go, which goes back to the roots of culture, which is it's all about supporting, building, and rising.
100%. But when you say there aren't enough characters like me, I come from the era of originals. When I stepped into hip-hop, I never dreamt of touching a microphone because I saw people like MCD for the UK. I saw a man like Redman in America, and I looked up to people like Nas, and I thought to be a mic controller, master of ceremonies, you have to be exceptional. In the production space, whether it was Preem, Marley Marl, Pete Rock, you had to be exceptional. So originality was the only way to make hip-hop. So stepping into this space, I always wanted to be one of one. For better or for worse, be true to yourself, and that's the walk from day one to today.
You're gonna have my smile. I'm just gonna be smiling the whole fucking podcast.
But you know this anyway, because
Yeah,
you know what I mean? We always give flowers back and forth. It
Bless
has
you.
to be, man, while we can smell them. But, you know, you come into the space from like, you know, a Dougie Fresh onto a Razel to do your thing and get the attention of a Pharrell. You had to be able to have a unique style of beatboxing. So we all 101s. We just need to put it together like Lego and build, bro.
For real. One of ones is correct. I think that that's saluted by the peers that you mentioned, the people that we grew up with, and we understand the fault lines and what it means. I say we. You've definitely come from a cut of cloth which leans very much towards preserving heritage, pushing the values of hip hop forward, and really inspiring people.
Appreciate, bruv. Like, you know what? I don't know if anyone's done this on a podcast, but like, I am home in this chair on this square, bruv. Because this is like a Gantt chart of my life, like how I was raised and grown. I mean, if I can look, got a chance to interview Lauryn Hill literally when this album dropped. I had like the original before the album dropped, or cuts that aren't on the album, and was talking to her while she was in London, watching Dizzy come up, sitting down with LL. You know, Black Sheep is why I went deeper into hip-hop from Choice Is Yours. And even a man like Miles Davis, the last album he did was with Easy Mo B.
Yes.
He just started working with Big. So all these connections, I've got a one-to-one with many of these stories, not from a braggadocious, but from a kind of, this is where my life was invested.
And this is where we must begin, because you were very much a writer for different journals. You went on and did a whole bunch of different platforms in media. Let's get into these conversations.
Okay.
Those initial conversations. How did you get into the journalistic world?
Journalistic world is really starting out as a music lover, appreciator. I was on the turntables because I was a shy kid, and I saw the guys on the mic, I saw the dancers. I had moves, but I weren't going to try and be in that spotlight, jump through my leg and do all the madness.
See, that's what I do.
You know what I mean? So for me, DJing was a language that I could communicate loudly with. So really just discovering my passion for cutting, scratching, mixing, blending, doing mixtapes. I realised we loved the culture, but the culture wasn't advanced enough for us to eat from. Records cost £10, £12, £50 an import, and that's for one record. So when I couldn't cut a living playing music, I leaned on my skills of English, because at school I was nice with writing. So I just leveraged that to write for free magazines, up and coming publications, and eventually landed a gig with Hip Hop Connection. I wrote for them for a while. So the first interview, I think when Mobb Deep came over to Hammersmith Palais, you know, I was with them for the whole day, backstage, you know. And we were just the kids on the come up, but they were the stateside kids. We were the first real generation to kind of integrally grow together in this kind of hip hop, this hip hop format of media and culture and music. And from there, I graduated to getting a job in the industry, and I never looked back. I say I worked 8 days a week, you know. And
it's a very different landscape back then as well.
Absolutely,
there was politics and all kinds of crazy characters.
There wasn't so much politics, because for me, a lot of the labels didn't even know who was signed. So in the UK, they wouldn't know half the acts, because those acts were emerging talent then. But we were always looking at Source magazine and looking at who was who and what was what, and we were up on it. So we were the early adopters, you know what I mean? But, you know, what excites me right now is how all of that informs what we're going to talk about, which is the super organic, and why all of that comes through in the music, the night we're doing, and the film that we're dropping exclusive to you, bro. So I'm just saying that's what it is. Yeah.
And with the likes of Mobb Deep and other contemporaries of its time, stepping into those conversations with them and getting a real snapshot. I mean, what was the vibe like? Like, what was it like talking to? I mean, it's not just Mobb Deep as well. This gentleman has had a plethora of different characters that you've had the grace of being present with. What's the settings? How do you set that the tone?
You know, to be honest, I'm looking at the new generation. You know, I'm listening to that exclusive interview that Semtex had with Central C, who just dropped, I think, an incredible album. Artists are exemplary and exceptional in their art, but talking about art is different from making art. And I found a lot of the artists weren't that confident about talking about their craft. So a lot of the conversations with Mobb Deep, with Nas in the early days, with a lot of these artists, even Jay-Z, you know, Jay-Z was stuttering on the conversation talking about his debut album. Not for any other reason than it was excitement and the first chance he had to really express how much passion he had to change the game. So for a lot of artists, they're not media trained, they're authentic, they're real. I wasn't media trained. There were man them chatting. Man them chatting about art for the world to hear. So it was early days.
Bottling that must have been like an absolute, you know, all the energy and angst and excitement.
All of that. But I see it for each generation. So when the grime generation came up, they were raw and untutored. The drill generation, raw and untutored. So we have to celebrate that and also pass some of those skills down. So I mentor a lot of emerging talent on how to manage media, because it's more unkind today than it was then, because we had what we call long format. People had to sit down and read 4 pages on an artist or read at least 1 page in Vibe magazine. Today, you get 20-second soundbite and the world will judge you on what you said. So, you know, the art form's 50 years old and doing super organic, doing BMT, these contemporary platforms draw on the past to educate the present to make a better future. And that's the works. We can't sit back and complain about what's new and what's lacking. Because the generation that came before hip-hop thought we were lacking because we were sampling, not making music. So the wheel turns. We just have to observe that wheel and be willful about changing what comes next and not just be reactionary. I think that's the challenge for the elder heads in the culture.
Funny you say that. Just before we started, you know, rest in peace, Skibber 50th birthday today.
Yeah.
Whenever this comes out, it was a pivotal moment within the culture. But you have a way. You're editing these videos and compiling things, staying on top.
I'm glad you mentioned that, you know, because although you'll watch this at any point, like, it was extra P, you said never say the date, you know what I mean? So whenever you watch this, we lost a legend in Skibbity, and, you know, I was working with Skibber at a time when Groundbreaker dropped, and what was the blessing for me, and I say this to all artists, is look beyond your genre for recognition, because your genre knows you and grows you. But when people in other spaces see you rise, have a look and see what it is they see in you. So I was running with MC Det, because my boy Ace is his brother. So me and Det kind of like grew together to certain degrees. You know what I mean? But he'd always go out all over the country, and me and his brother would just sit in the yard watching conscious tapes, listen to hip hop and R&B. And I got to know Skibber as someone in the culture. So when I dropped Groundbreaker, the drum and bass guys were like, you know what, salute, bruv. You're not a drum and bass guy, but that's a banger. You know what I mean? Wiley was like, that's a banger. Shy FX was like, that's a banger. So I was getting recognition, but it was Skibber who said, although I don't do hip-hop traditionally, I want to work with you. So it was a blessing to rock with him. We did a song called The Greatest Show. Yes. It was #1 on Channel U, not AKA, you. You know.
Casual.
But it was Skibber, Det, Shabba D, MC Scheme, and MC D, Silent Eclipse, all on one record. Get to know, it's out there. So when Skibber passed, we have to make sure people live on. Like, there's an ancestral saying that is, we die twice. We die first physically, and the second time is when we no longer say people's names. So I wanted to say his name, and in the art form now, there is no excuse for you not to be able to shoot, edit, and create content. So what I did before I jumped into the podcast was make a short film about him, posted that up, recognizing him and my boy Axe, who did an incredible portrait. So let's document our culture and not wait for someone else to do it. Which is kind of what Super Organic is, to be fair. It's part documentation of where we've been, part reimagining it, and then also nurturing new talent. So some of our oldest artists are in their 50s, and some of our youngest artists are about 16, 17. And they all share the same space where we celebrate high vibration hip hop, spoken word, jazz with an intergenerational audience, you know. So it's a living thing, man.
Yeah, it echoes the melting pot sounds whack, but you've always been that character to, right, I'm gonna mess with you here. I'm gonna put that there, and that there, with an emerging song like Groundbreaker. Gave the opportunity for people to think differently about their genres. It genuinely did.
Yeah.
I don't think there were many other songs like that. I remember you turned around to me, however. I think it was Dog Star in Brixton.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
talking like, I can't remember how long ago it was. And you turned around to me and you goes, yeah, watch out for Dizzy, you know. He's
Yeah.
about to drop that tune with that break. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, because you had first dibs on listening to these things because you was tight with them, and then there was all these other people at play, like you say, MC Det. And for little people know, he was a breaker as well at one stage and all sorts of things, right?
100%. Yeah, deep in the hip hop culture. Yeah.
Bang, innit?
For sure.
So this mergence of all different things that were colliding at that once, magnum opus moment, which was Groundbreaker.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And you've always been about that, haven't you?
For sure. It's like Star Wars, when Luke's like, rah, you're my father. It's like, how many fathers of styles have we got from previous generations? And that lack of relationship is at the detriment of both sides. So for me, Fix Up, Look Sharp was an exciting record, but if you weren't looking to the genre to gift you something interesting, you'd write it off. I think the records that Dave and Central C are doing are exciting records, but if you're not looking, you'll miss it.
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to decode what's coming next and seeing what the connection is. So, watching, through Skibber, I met Dirty Dugs, who was Dirty Goods at the time.
Yeah, that's right.
And again, it was just hearing these people unco-signed from your own generation, but you're using your ears, using your own intuition to work out if this is fire or not. And I got good ears. That comes from DJing, and I'm rarely wrong. I don't think I am wrong a lot of the time because I hear it. The only difference is whether an artist has the tenacity, the opportunity, and the consistency to make it. But they have the DNA of greatness. I saw Hack Baker, when he began, and he was on a program that I was working on, and we just knew when he picked up the guitar something special was going on. Yeah. Ed Sheeran, the same thing. We had 300 people watching him as a support artist, and I was like, this guy is cold. I think I need your phone number, bruv. And I just put my phone in his hand. So let's do that for the culture. New MCs, new music, new styles. If it sounds great, don't hesitate. Make the connection with the talent and recognize it. And I see that through Super Organic. I just see kids fire. I'm just like, yo, let's just jump on a rhythm. And for the spoken word scene, someone like Big Scoop is one of the best lyricists in the world. And I'll just stand 10 toes and say that. But he's come through in the battle rap scene, migrated into spoken word, done ghostwriting, but I will challenge anyone to go and listen to this guy and not tell me that he's not tiers above many artists in terms of wordplay and metaphor.
Yeah. And that also plays to the mindset of these artists. Now, there is this kind of Lord of the Flies behaviour with all secular scenes, the pillow fluffers, the people that like to kind of make their nest really good. And if these artists haven't come through the portal of this you need to know community, then all of a sudden, and going back to Central C and the other aforementioned Dirty Goods, these people just cut through. We need to create conversations with regards to these artists that allow them to shine in their own right, find their lane, and actually support them, level them up in a way that celebrates their raw talent with the mindset they have, right?
Every day you're here, you're blessed with an opportunity to manifest something. I feel the energy of creation is what's needed right now. So I rather bond with my brothers and my sisters and creative beings. Like I'm rocking with my guy Chris Preddy, and every time me and him roll together, the energy is just 10-10. So why wouldn't I roll with Chris and my guy Femi and Porge and level up rather than critique who's not delivering? Because let's be real, a lot of people are operating in pain. A lot of people haven't had their flowers. A lot of CDs and cassettes never became albums in the world. And some people are disgruntled because their whole life is sitting in a box in the back of their yard. And aunties or mumsies like, can I throw this box out? And it's like, what? My box with the Source magazine and my press shots. And that's hurt.
Yeah, it's hurt.
So I don't want to judge those people. I'm like, how can we build a platform that we can shine and then widen the aperture so you can shine? And there's not a person in the world who doesn't want to shine. So if you can't shine and you're stuck in the shadows, I feel for you, but don't let it be the measure of what I do.
There you go. Yeah.
I came back to move the culture forward, not on my own. I can't do it on my own. I'm doing it with my brothers, my sisters, and my youngers. You know, and that's the excitement. The era of AI, the era of digital can all be allies to the telling of stories that have never been shared.
For real. What do you feel are the biggest obstacles for young people among, because these projects that you've got going on now, there obviously needs to be some sort of level of mentorship through the history that you've gone through.
The biggest obstacle is the lack of intergenerational conversation. Let's just take a step outside of music. Music is a very, 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 very small box now. This was the bigger box. This was how artists could go double platinum and go, certified careers through the sales of music. But music was reduced to being within the world of tech, which is really when like Napster and LimeWire were in a way liberating the conversation but changing the dynamic. The deal didn't go great. Apple stepped in and they patented the way the digital rollout happened. Music became 79 pence per song. Prior to that, a song would have been £7 or £5. So when we lost the revenue value in the music, it lowered the possibility of living through music. Then 360 deals and everything else came. So music is a smaller conversation. The wider conversation is creativity, and the bigger conversation is culture. So for me, culture is, do you know your creative mum? Do you know your creative dad? Do you know where your creative children are? And do you know your culture? So an intergenerational conversation can push back the predators, the people who want to exploit youth. They've made music and culture something where it's young people make it. Young people don't have the lived experience, so they get exploited. So what we need to do is have the elders level up, youngers understand the relationship, and to start to build equity and value in culture. How we do that is a together conversation. I don't explicitly have the answer, but I have my contribution.
Yes.
And that's super organic. It's 2 years strong. It's a night that invites the elders of the culture to return with fire. People like Breeze are jumping on a mic. Rodney P came down, spun a set with us.
Our peoples.
Man like Essa, came out of retirement. When he retired, he went into music business. Jumped back on a mic and he's nice
Incredible.
with it. So Peaches, all these people came through, but also younger heads coming up as well. Sister by the name of Ebony, brilliant young R&B voice. A Hearts, who's, she's been grinding for a while, but she's getting co-signs from people like Rhapsody, who've been hearing her on socials and loving what she does. And my guy Enzo Love, who's just a cold young lyricist. And we're all in the same space, performing, produced the mixtape, the Super Organic mixtape. In fact, bruv, now's the time. You're speaking the talk. You don't know it, but look, I came through, always show up with gifts. When someone invites you around the yard for the first time, whatever, bro.
That's
so
thank
hold that.
you.
This is the Super Organic mixtape.
Wow.
The front cover is actually a Walkman, the classic Walkman.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we made a mixtape. People chat mixtape. This is a physical mixtape. Bruv, unpack
Thank
that.
you.
Let's just have a moment.
Thank you,
like,
my
know what I mean?
brother.
It's an interactive podcasting.
Yeah.
Unpack that, bruv. I want your insight into what you see.
All right, here we go.
So you pop the case open.
Yo, it feels thick and slick off the bat. Ain't been opened before. Oh, shit. Okay, that's what we're looking at here. Front cover.
Just like the artwork you're looking at, original artwork, man like Tim Ball produced the artwork for us.
Yo. And then we're opening it up. Actually, bona fide, original mixtape style. Tape Kings, hold tight.
Bruv, I'm gas. I've never ever dropped a cassette where you actually got the imprinted on. I'm that TDK kid, just stick the label on,
right, the thing
try
on.
and shut the front up, man.
And then inside the sleeve, again, oh, wow. All right, cool, we're switching it. Inside, black and white on the front, art looking slick.
All this artwork was produced on the day we were in the studio by a young artist called Tim Ball. He was drawing in real time. On the flip, is the actual experience. Us in the studio, us
That's
at the
incredible.
live night. You know, so it's storytelling in the visual format. But for the new school kids, they can't play cassette. They don't know about that. They got to go and ask mumsy or auntie for cassette deck. The Walkman, this case, it's got the QR code. The QR code takes you to listen digitally. And what do Walkmans do? Walkmans play music.
Yeah.
So, you know, our science is the cassette is inside the Walkman. The Walkman plays in... Bruv, we're on science.
Yo,
out
that
here.
is
Volume 1 of the
hard-bodied.
Super Organic mixtape. That's your copy, King.
Thank you,
Limited
my
edition,
brother.
1 of 120.
120.
That's it.
Yo, you got
120 and done, bruv. So
you got
you hold
119
that.
now. Absolutely bagging.
Because that's what the artifacts are. That's what the culture's about to us. It's about creating value through creating valuable art, man.
Yeah.
You know, so the mixtape's dropped.
Wow.
The night's into its next phase. You know, we're going to be at festivals. We've done a few sold-out shows. And then the film, which is exclusive to this conversation, you know, it's chapter 1 of our film, shot by George Melsbury, a.k.a. DJ Porge.
Poogie, Porge on Special.
active, bruv.
Yeah, active. That's my guy. Wow. So many
Don't sell it,
questions.
bruv. If I see this on eBay, like, I know there's a code on it. Like, I know it's his,
Yeah,
bruv. Like,
I'll find you. Okay.
Yeah, I'll find you.
The digital
bruv.
age, my friend. Yeah. These processes all thought through decades of critical decision making, lived experiences, and I'm pretty sure going back into the history of fusion and other artists that have, you know, come and gone. You know, these are resources that we use to, you know, almost visualize the future. You know, it's history that we can go back and look at fault lines of how things are done. And when you've got a tape like this, the QR code future forward, moving into doing live sold out events, putting out music, communicating and coordinating teams. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then creating films. I mean, this really is an exploration of your own kind, surely.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's that's why I said, you know, we're living in the present, you know, and we're drawing on the past, creating a future. And that, to me, was why I got into hip-hop. You know, when I had my drum machine, you know, I knew I was digging. I was getting records from secondhand record shops, playing until I found the groove, the sample I wanted, and then producing that in that basement somewhere, missing out on parties and life, but creating something for the future. So we're taking the past and the present to make the future. And that practice is what we got to do now. So that's what makes the night exciting to me, bruv. You know, and people want to find it is wearesuperorganic.com. Just get to know. Like, I know Kela will share the word, but
Yeah, of course.
I want people to be active, man. This is a participatory business.
Yes.
So just see what we do, be part of what we do, and just, you know, reach out if you've got beats, rhymes, poetry, or you're in the jazz world, which is another chapter, bruv. Like, I've been in the jazz world for a few years now, working
real?
with artists, and it's been, that and spoken word's been like crazy liberating, man.
Yeah, because the spoken word side of things as well. And going back. Fusion, you see? The fusion of...
Facts.
For real.
Yeah, be careful what you call yourselves.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man. Like, my life is fusion lifestyle. That is what I've grown to be and to practice, for sure.
How do you keep up with that demand in your head? Because fusing all of these, from new media to old, to young people to old, to, you know, heritage, to people, teams and genres, and what's in your head, man? Talk to me about what a day in a life of fusion. What's in your head, man? How does this work?
How it works, it's all intersections for me. You know, it's finding those through balls, those moments, and I try not to be prescriptive about anything. I'm 100% intentional about everything, but I'm always open to what the moment teaches me. You know, since I developed my craft as a host and a facilitator, I often find myself in rooms where I am one human being coordinating 5, 20, 100, 200, sometimes 1,000 people. So you really got to key into what the moment tells you.
Yeah.
And that's been great, because I might walk in with an intention to work with an artist, and then there's something they say or something they do, and it changes everything. You know,
For better or for worse?
It just changes everything. You know, when I go into primary school, right now I'm working in primary schools doing a project around culture, and I never thought my program, which was designed for secondary school children, called BMT Proud to Be, would work in primary schools. So I could have said no, but I was like, I've been asked, try it. they are the most electric, the most curious, the most heartfelt, the most switched on age group of humans I've ever worked with. I was like, well, who's been hiding this audience from me my whole life?
Yeah.
And I'm in there and I'm learning from them and providing them access to cultural storytelling tools. So being around primary school children in the academic and learning spaces informed my practice. And then being around jazz artists. Jazz is the art of improv. It is quite often a 4-piece band playing off each other's craftsmanship in the live space, you know, and I'm watching that and I'm saying to myself, okay, that's how I engage in conversations. So I'm learning constantly from observing, synthesizing, and then sharing again.
Oh, yeah,
You
do.
know, that is it. So I'll end up at places that I would never have written down at the beginning of the year. I'm at Kensington Palace doing a talk about the black stories that have been hidden from us. And I'm watching the staff looking at me like, hey, no one's ever said that here before, but he ain't lying. And then I've been around young people who are like year 7 and they're telling you what it means to be a Palestinian child through poetry. And I'm like, wow, he's in the same classroom as a Jewish child. And we can have these conversations and they're year 7. And then I'll be in another space, you know, with my homie doing a podcast. And I'm thinking about when I was cutting tunes for you and then you're going off with the CD to go and play them to Pharrell.
Yeah.
And then you're
played
coming
them, I
back.
did.
And Pharrell's like, yo, what's going on? This is cold.
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
like, great. You know, I'm looking for those co-signs from the producers like the Timbalands and the Pharrells and the Premiers that inspired me to hit the pads. So it's a lived life with more to come. The best is yet to come.
For sure, this is, you know, it's by far reflective. It's just incredible. Knowing you, you know, throughout the years, there is this, and very rarely do people, there's the ego is always removed with you. There is, I've never seen fusion operating. There's a sense of acceptance of every circumstance, everyone and everything. You kind of have the intuition of going with the flow, but also working with the nuances of a situation or behaviour of a person. You know, you it's quite stoic.
That's interesting. This guy, you know, I'm gonna just pause and just say I'm really like excited for your growth as a host. I've seen you go through many different iterations. At a moment, on the way here, mad, but it sums it up for me because I would rewrite what you said because I'm updating my version of me every time I feel a need to. So I've been a journalist, you know. I think Rakim had that lyric about a journalist, you know, a journal and sink into the, you know, sink into the page like I was ink. So for me, the DJ moves the crowd with no words sometimes, just sound. The journalist moves minds without words said, just written. So I was always moving people without having to speak. But I realized at a certain point, you know, if I never spoke, was I ever heard? I've amplified other people's voices. So I started to look for my voice, and it was a journey to find a voice that felt authentic and an extension of everything. So here I am coming to see you. I'm flying because I'm running a little bit behind schedule, right? And I'm flying down the escalator. But I messaged him before. Always do that, I'm just saying. Right, so I'm flying down the escalator and some guy's violated, right? Because he's on the left side of the escalator.
Classic.
And we know you're either a tourist or you're just rude.
Yeah.
So I'm flying down and we stop. And I see 4 people in front of me and they've accepted my man. So they're just standing there like that. So none of us can go. Younger me would have just waited.
Yeah.
But I said, yo, bit of bass in the voice. The guy turns around. I said, bro, can you move to the side? He moves. They all start going down. As I fly past him, I just tap. I said, I appreciate that, bruv. And he's there with his ute and his missus. And the little ute smiling. So I turn back and I just smile at the ute like that. And I'll go. So my ego is to move things, but not to be alpha. It's not there to say I'm the regulator. we all benefit from that movement. But once you step into that, the adrenaline, the energy's there, you could stay there. But for me, I don't want to live there. So by me spudding my guy, I'm just letting them know it's love, but it had to be done. And for the youth who's smiling, why can't I smile at the youth? So that's the challenge for Mandem especially. Yes, we should assert our authority as elders. We should assert our authority as carers of family. But we should also assert our love of why we are that way. If we haven't got a motive to be alpha, then it's not the right mode of conduct. Because love is missing. That's what Stevie said. Love is in need of a love today. We have to love our way to change, but with a certain muscularity. I don't mean I love like lay down and let everything just go through. I mean like love change. Love, even, let's just break fourth walls. Me and you've had our little hiccups, missteps, mishaps, disagreements. And it's when we lost our friend, you know, Leke,
Yeah.
you know,
Rest in peace, Leke, yeah.
it was at the funeral. I can't walk around like, man, Kela, bruv, da-da-da-da. I just said to you, bruv, let's just done the thing. Let's be cool like that. So this is dedicated to Leke, that we have to love past grudge and issue. Because you don't know when you get a second chance to reason with a man. So out of that, I said, yeah, can we go? And here we are.
And just to summarise on this whole point here, and this really is about the sentiment of fusion, is in equal measure, is the response on all of my question was perfect, but it's the sharpness in which he was able to immediately refer to something that happened no more than 20 minutes ago.
Word.
And how that connectivity works in your head. How that, almost in a split second, you're able to, right, unpack, repack, okay, right. Here's an example. Now that is very rare in the world in general now.
Respect.
And that's why podcasts like this need to happen. For real. For real.
I'm gonna take those flowers, you know.
Yo,
like I'm gonna take
real
those flowers.
talk.
Like the thing that excites me about this moment in life is, I think a lot of people like the podcast with Drink Champs. You know, one of the things that Nori does, apart from getting everyone completely wasted, is, you know, I want to give flowers, like, to, you know, so people can smell them and da-da-da-da-da-da. It's so rare for us to compliment each other, especially as men in our craft, right? But my thing is, one step beyond the compliment is what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? Like, if you see a woman who's beautiful, yeah, she's beautiful, but is she beautiful inside? Like, what's she gonna do with her attractiveness? You know, if you're a dope MC and you're nice with words, the world is upside down, and you're nice with words. I just felt when the towers fell, how many songs were challenging the system? With Palestine, how many songs are challenging the system? With cost of living crisis, I miss Dead Prez. I miss Public Enemy. I miss Black
you.
Star.
Yep.
I miss Silent
Yep.
Eclipse.
Yep.
I miss the people who used their gifts to uplift and change things. So if I've got the intelligence to move Ginsu sharp in a moment, please, culture, use the skill. Use my talent as an instrument. And what I found was, if I couldn't get that in hip-hop, Kano, Titch at that time, Dougs, they all were like, you do something special. Can you apply it to grime? And I was like, youngers, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not Eastman. I don't roll with you lot, but you lot gave me the pass. So now as a grown man, my work extends beyond the community of hip hop into spaces historical through, you know, looking at museums, working in royal spaces, working in tech spaces, working in education spaces. And those places give me my flowers, bro.
Yeah, that's right.
They're instantly recognizing the intellect, but how are we going to apply that to a 50-year-old culture that's getting a little bit of backache, that's getting a little bit of headache, that's getting a bit of media backlash, because some of the people that have been at the forefront are falling down and exposing the vulnerabilities. I'm here for the fight, because what made me fall in love with hip-hop was on this wall, look, Skibber's there, man, you know what I mean? Lyrical architect. Like,
Hell yeah.
you know what I mean? Salt and pepper, sexual revolutionaries, bro.
Huge.
Let's talk about that. You know, man like Kendrick,
Yeah.
you know, all these artists, even NWA. You know, when I heard F the Police, brother, it blew my mind. I was in Tottenham with these headphones on my head, and I was looking around like, can you say that?
Yeah.
Like, can you actually say that?
Totally.
That's how I felt.
I had to turn the volume down on my cassette player because I know my mum and dad were first they would have heard
But that's
that.
what I'm saying. This was real rebel music.
Real rebel
Profanity
music.
isn't a rebellious act.
No.
Standing 10 toes on values is the rebel act.
yes.
Challenging authority with intellect and spirituality is the radical act. You know, when we lost Nipsey, he wasn't trying to be the baddest man on road. He was trying to teach us about Dr. Sebi, about alkaline living. And you can get, they call it unalive now, innit? You can get popped off, rubbed out by speaking truth. So profanity isn't the frontier. The frontier is speaking truth. And hip hop is a great medium for that. Chuck D said it. It's the amount of words you can communicate in 16 bars is far greater through rap than through song. Because song extends the bar, rap is more staccato. So when a man like that, God bless Skipper, all the fast flowers, how much can you pattern? You listen to my guy,
For
Broken
real.
Pen. Broken Pen's shooting for the world record of the fastest syllable rapping.
Broken pen, you know.
Monster.
Serious.
Monster. And that's my bro as well, man. So we all have to band together.
Yeah.
I've only got a certain set of skills. I sound like that guy for that movie, innit? I've got a certain set of skills. Taken things. But you have a set of skills. You have an audience. Chris Preddy has an audience, you know.
Bear Chris.
Buddha, you know what I mean? Buddha, Porge, and them, man, you know what I mean? They move our crowds. You know, Akala's got an audience. Georgia Poet's got an audience. But if we don't find... You remember the Venn diagram? You know that one? You didn't see the Venn diagram
Explain
since
it,
school.
explain it, go on.
If you
We
don't
got me,
look,
we're
if,
talking
if
to
you
the back.
don't find that intersection where our excellence
Yes.
is in the middle,
Yes.
we don't deserve change. We deserve glimpses of change, but we don't deserve change because we're not trying to find the common ground,
Yeah,
bro.
you're right. I mean, this is a case study in itself, culturally,
Yeah.
because can you take grime, for instance? Well, that intersection is patterned up. There seems to be a lot of growth. People,
Gets is the best.
I know, man.
Like he's bruv,
Kills it.
like that's my guy. I watched him. Like when I say top 3 selected,
serious.
this was the time that was hip hop's blind spot. UK
Yeah.
rap
Yes,
was
yes.
wrapped up in its own
Yes.
dilemmas,
Yes.
but Gets, Wretch,
Yeah.
you know,
Gigs.
Yeah, gigs, you know what I mean? Those like Chain Gang, like, you know, Ratty Capo, Risky Roads.
Yes.
All of that stuff was so happening. And it was a blind spot. But then man waited, worked. And now I'd say, you know, bar for bar, Wretch, Gets are setting the level for what it is to be a dope MC. And we were laughing at, collectively, culturally laughing at Reload bars, repeating 4 bars, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it was in its infancy. But even then, Kano and Gets were still more advanced.
Yes.
Dukes was more advanced than the repeat bars. But I was watching DEE. Man has the fastest reload in history, bruv.
Crazy.
Ooh, and it was over. So let's not mock
100%.
simplicity
Yes,
either.
it's what it's all about. It's because those are the entry points for younger people to get in, and also for the you know, creative strong to flourish. One arena at the moment, which when I say is yielding teams and networks and on a real kind of grand scale, there's like the AGs and the Mac 10s as DJ outfits taking on the mantle of DJing out in public spaces, which kind of mirrors, you know, the busking mentality, which
Yeah.
you know, but the
Well, it's more cypher.
It's
For
more
me,
cypher,
it's more
yes.
hip hop ciphers.
What I love the most about it,
Yeah,
though,
and
is that-
barbershop quartet.
Yes, exactly, and it's totally housed around those elements. What I love though is the expose and, like you say, almost the blind spot to the rest of the genres. Of course, there are others out there doing it, but it's become a movement, and it's gaining so much fucking momentum, and everyone gets it. It's like watching a rare bird take flight. It's like, damn, man, like,
Yeah.
out of nowhere. Here it
Yeah,
comes.
I mean, there's so many levels to that statement you made. If you have a culture that's 50 years old, it means there are people who were born into hip hop who are now 50. 50-year-olds populate a lot of the key positions in industries. So of course, Time Out magazine is gonna go and look at man like DJ. Is it?
Of course, yeah, AG and
AG,
that, yeah.
and make him Time Out London of the Year because they understand it. They didn't understand it when it was happening.
Yeah,
there were
yeah.
people doing that back in the day, but it was a young genre. So, big up to him, big up to everyone who's making a difference. And, Sidewinder's back and them man are doing, just like black classic grime sets, which is dope. And it's a beautiful time in many ways. Interesting time.
Very much so. And the future for Fusion, one more time, please explain all the goings on from the documentary to everything. Explain it all and how it is all umbrellaed.
Right. So Super Organic, 2 years in the basement. For me, just do your due diligence. We worked hard, just crafting from what it could be to what it became. So Super Organic is a live experience with a live band, DJs, emerging talent, established artists. We have a thing called the A-side. A-side, in the club when you drop the hit record, the A-side is how to get lit, get energized. So if you're performing, you get one song on the A-side to light up the crowd. Each artist performs the A-side song. We have a little cypher, take a little interlude, come back. I'm a journalist. I will ask questions. We have a conversation live.
Hard.
B-side is when you get deeper. B-side is a song that, you go home with the B-side. You know what I mean? It's a deeper track. So artists get into their bag, and then it's really just people just enjoying being in the space together. And then what we make is a film, which is really documenting our journey. And then the artists live outside of the night through the mixtape. So it's really a bit of musical storytelling, exclusive songs. Our DJs do special blends. And we're putting that out to kind of spread the word and let the whole world know that something's happening in the UK. And it's high vibration hip hop, spoken word and jazz. Me at the helm as the host and producer. I got some productions on there again. So getting busy and just, a wealth of talent riding out, man. It's wearesuperorganic.com and just find us, participate, get involved. We want to travel across the whole of the UK. And we're going to do it. And we want to just connect with all the heads who are excited about this culture of ours.
God, that's good. So if you ain't inspired right now, people, I don't know what set of headphones you're listening to this podcast in. Fusion, my brother, it's just... Yeah, it's a pleasure, as always.
Likewise,
as
man.
As always, you know what I mean? We get deep, all right?
You might need to get Kela to come down, you know what I mean? You might need to get you on one of the sets,
Come
bro.
on,
Come on,
man,
let's
you know
manifest
what I mean?
that. You down for that?
I'm fucking down for that.
All
yeah.
right then. Cool. You heard it here first, man. Therefore. Otherwise, I take the tape back. It's like, what? Free tape for a man can't come and do a set? You mad, yeah.
Also, I'd like to big up Spider J as another unsung hero in our
Oh. Bro, thank you. That's the sign off there. Spider J, without him, I wouldn't have pursued the music to the degree that I have. I'm all in because he opened the door. Funny enough, I was working with a crew. One of the guys now is one of the senior execs in the music industry, but back then he was just like a young guy trying to bust in the music game. And I was just tired of being kicked out of studios, not having the equipment. And he said, try one more time. My cousin, he's got a studio. I was like, I can't do this again.
You know.
Bruv,
It's
and
his
literally,
real story.
we went to the studio and I sat down in the man's living room and I got my demo out and I just got my demo and said, bruv, this is it. He put in his cassette deck, press play, and he loved it.
Game
He said, the
over.
rest is history, bruv. And I ain't never looked back since. So I just want to say, my last word for me at least is like, be excited about the future, rep with your crew, your fam, your peers. But if you could do anything from this podcast, go and salute those that open the door for you and more time check if they're all right.
Real talk.
Because the people who open the door, like, we kind of laminate them, we look back on them, but they're living aspirational people.
That's
so
right.
I roll with Spider-Man. I don't think there's been a super organic way he hasn't come if he's been in the country.
That's my don.
Yeah, no, but this guy is... Anyway, get him on the podcast,
Yes,
bro. I'm
no,
just saying, I don't want to gas it up too much. Spider J, big up.
Killa Kela podcast, I like it was out of fashion. Remember? Sharing is caring. Tell a friend. Crime don't pay, but neither do they. Don't talk to anyone I wouldn't. Stay lucky, people.
Chase.
Peace.
Super Organic fam, get to know,
Come
man. We
on.
are superorganic.com. Go on, try and cop a mixtape if you can't go online. Have a listen. Come to the night, more importantly.
There
Bless
you
up.
go. Peace.
Cheers.